Good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to the shed of endless possibilities. I'm going to read you a little story from my book, Dark Thoughts. And it is a short story and I hope you enjoy it. This one is called Harry. I will never forget that night late in December. It was an unusually cold night. There was a dusting of snow covering the lawn in the front garden. Down the pathway from my front door were replica Victorian streetlights, which were lit, and in their glow flakes of snow swirled and danced in the cold night air. The news was on the television, and it was the usual 30 minutes of bad news. Bad news from throughout the world. Tonight was no exception. There were reports of major disruptions on the road due to the Arctic weather conditions which were sweeping the country. Reports from war-torn areas of the world, and of course news that North Korea had sent yet one more nuclear missile into the air, which had caused the United States of America to threaten them with their usual venom, with their need for peace through superior firepower. Where I lived, there had been a second murder in the city in a period of 2 weeks. The police were looking for any witnesses as usual to help them with their inquiries. Then the local news added to it. I went into the kitchen to make a nice soothing cup of drinking chocolate in the hope of relaxing and collecting my thoughts. As I stirred the liquid in my cup, I heard on the news that there was a serial killer on the loose. And the thought of that serial killer got into my mind, but then passed out again just as quickly. I returned to the lounge and I sat down and I took a sip of my drinking chocolate. It was then that I had an overwhelming feeling that I was being watched. But I was unable to see anybody or anything around. I just put it down to my imagination and my love of horror movies. Suddenly, my outdoor security light came on. So I got out of my chair and walked towards the window. Looking out, I could see that there were some fresh footprints in the snow. I walked through to the back of my house but still could see nothing. There was a noise coming from outside, so I returned to the lounge and sat down. Again, I got this feeling that I was being watched. Nervously, I looked up towards the window, and there it was. A face was staring directly at me. Then it vanished from sight. Suddenly, I could hear the sound of something coming from my basement, a sound of glass breaking, and of something being knocked over. Then there was silence for a few minutes. I then heard footsteps coming up the stair from the basement, slowly moving as though treading on each step. The basement door slowly opened, and there he stood, the serial killer. He stared directly into my eyes. His cruel eyes were flashing with light. I stared back at him, neither of us moving, but he then pounced and he landed on my chest, his big eyes staring into my eyes. It was then that I felt the pain of his razor-sharp claws as they punctured my skin. There he was, Harry, the serial killer, the fearless slayer of rats. Yes, my cat. He yawned revealing razor-sharp fangs which had brought about the demise of 1,000 rats. He was flexing his claws. His lust for blood had been satisfied, and now his need for attention was being received. He purred and he meowed as I stroked his head. This serial killer snuggled up against the warmth of my body, and now asleep, his purring grew louder, refreshing him for his next visit to the streets and the alleyways. That's the story that I wrote for Harry, my cat, who sadly passed away about 4 weeks ago. And he was indeed a fearless slayer of rats. Right folks, short and sweet. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. If you have, please hit that like button, leave a comment in the box below, hit the bell icon for any future uploads, and above all, if you've not yet subscribed, come and join us. It won't cost you anything, helps the channel to grow, and we become part of that bigger community. So on this horribly rainy day, I say to you all, namaste. Have an absolutely amazing day, everyone. Bye for now.